Brad Stevens may have just pulled off one of the boldest balancing acts in modern NBA front office history, behind the headlines and away from the noise. Something massive is unfolding in Boston, and most people aren't seeing it for what it really is. The Celtics are not just trimming costs, they're setting the stage for something much bigger. With the trades of Kristaps, Porzingis, and Jrue Holiday, Boston slashed what was projected to be a record-shattering $210 million luxury tax bill. That move alone might look like a financial decision, but if you stop there, you're missing the deeper strategy at play. In return, the Celtics didn't just shed salary. They added real pieces in Anfernee Simons and Georgia's Niang, both of whom could prove invaluable in the right context. And yet, Stevens said earlier this month, that line, on its own, could be dismissed as standard front office speak. But when you consider that Boston still sits $20 million above the luxury tax threshold, with a total payroll of $207.8 million, those words become a powerful message. The Celtics aren't operating like a team trying to survive. They're behaving like a team planning a relaunch. Here's what most people don't realize: Boston can still duck under the second apron without gutting the roster. Releasing they're calculating. That's control. We don't want to lose the opportunity to use our picks to become the best version of ourselves just to help financially, Stevens said. And it tells rival gyms something else entirely. Boston won't be forced into anything. But here's the twist. Boston is projected to owe $88.4 million in luxury tax penalties for the 2025-26 season. Every extra dollar spent on the roster now costs the Celtics $6.75 in tax, a minimum salary. It doesn't cost $2.4 million anymore, it costs over $15 million. That's the reality. So what now? Here's where the strategic brilliance begins to reveal itself. Tatum may miss a significant portion of the season. Competing at full throttle in 2025 might not be realistic. So why burn through cap flexibility now? Why not redirect that massive spending power toward 2026 to 27? When the core is healthy, the rotation is revamped, and the championship window swings wide open again. This isn't a step back, it's a setup. By scaling back just enough to avoid the harshest repeater tax penalties, Boston can re-enter the arms race when it truly matters. Letting this season breathe financially could give them the ammunition to dominate in a more favorable scenario and avoid gutting the future just to tread water today. They're not guaranteed to stay. The tax isn't locked in until season's end. Mid-season trades, salary, that's not a fluke, that's commitment. The front office has proven they'll go deep into the tax if the team is ready to contend. But when circumstances shift, so does the plan. That's how dynasties operate. So if you're a Celtics fan wondering why the breaks seem to be tapping this offseason, don't panic. The team isn't retreating, they're reloading. Every dollar saved now can be a weapon later. And if Brad Stevens finds a way to finesse this roster into financial shape without sacrificing talent or draft picks, it could go down as one of the most quietly brilliant front office plays of the decade. Because the best moves aren't always loud. Sometimes there's silent setups for a season that hasn't arrived yet, but when it does, the rest of the league won't be ready. The Toronto Raptors didn't just test the waters, they threw a grenade into Boston's war room. Not once, but twice. They thought the Celtics might be vulnerable, might blink, might flinch in a moment of off-season uncertainty. Instead, Boston responded with silence that echoed louder than a press conference. According to Zach Lowe, Toronto offered the 9th overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft in exchange for Derrick White, a top 10 pick, a potential young star, the kind of asset most teams would at least entertain. Boston, they didn't hesitate, they didn't negotiate, they flat out rejected it. And here's where it gets more revealing. That offer came shortly after Jason Tatum's injury, a moment when rival G. Mizmatov assumed Boston would panic. They were wrong. The Celtics didn't just say no. They reportedly laughed at the idea. One source said Boston made it clear they'd need far more than the 9th pick to even consider parting with White. But Toronto wasn't done. They circled back, this time with Jrue Holiday in their sights, dangling the same 9th pick again. Once more, Boston shut the door without a flicker of interest. That tells you something no box score ever could. What does this mean? It means Brad Stevens and the Celtics front office are playing chess while everyone else is still setting up their pieces. They're not looking to start over, they're looking to sharpen what already works. White isn't just a reliable defender, Or a glue guy, he's part of a vision that's still unfolding even after moving on from Holiday and Porzingis. And that vision, it's not tied to draft picks or speculation, it's built on clarity. Boston didn't just win a title in 2024 by accident, they did it with deliberate construction, with pieces that fit a culture, not just a lineup. Letting White go for a rookie ticket to the unknown would VA betrayed everything this franchise has spent the last 3 years building Toronto. Got their man in the draft, Colin Murray boils a promising wing, sure, but Boston got something more important: conviction. The kind you need if you plan to win again. The message is simple. Even if no one's screaming it out loud, the Celtics are not rebuilding. The NBA world is shifting, and the Boston Celtics might be standing at the edge of another historic transformation. A shocking report has placed Boston as the frontrunner to land a former all-star point guard, a player who doesn't just fill a role but reshapes the court every time he steps on it. This isn't about adding depth, it's about flipping the script entirely. With championship pressure mounting and the East getting more unpredictable by the minute, this move could be Brad Stevens' answer to the one question no rival has managed to silence. How do you stop a Celtics team that just keeps getting better? But that's just the start of what's brewing. While Boston's front office keeps its cards close, the ripples of its past are echoing across the globe. One former Celtics champion, once a key piece in the hunt for Banner 18, is heading overseas, signing with a top-tier Israeli squad. It's a rare move, but not without meaning. This isn't a washed-up name clinging to minutes. It's a player who, just months ago, earned a 10-day contract from the Sixers and praise from none other than Jason Tatum himself. That kind of respect isn't handed out lightly in this league. And speaking of legends, there's one name that simply refuses to fade into the background: Al Horford, a mentor, a floor general, a Celtic through and through. But even his next chapter is cloaked in mystery. Rumors are swirling with renewed force, linking him once again to the Golden State Warriors. Could he trade green for gold? Or is this the swan song of a career that's defined professionalism and poise? Some say retirement is on the table. Others whisper about a third team, quietly pushing for one last run at glory, with Big Al anchoring their locker room. Wait for the dominoes to fall. One thing is certain, this isn't just another offseason. This feels like the calm before something massive.